Alright, we're back with the second video. In our first video, we installed a server on Contabo, and we used the Docker image that they had available already. That made our steps a lot easier. And on top of that, we installed Dockage so we can manage this all from a GUI. If you remember, we also added a user for us to log in with, and we added another user for Arc Survival Ascended. To own all the files here to manage permissions. I have since added a couple mods that I enjoy using just to make a couple quality of life improvements, and I think that is mostly all that has been changed. But today we want to add a nice GUI, a nice file manager, file editor, so we can update our INI files. That would be these Game.ini and the GameUserSettings.ini. All from the web browser. So first, let's start off. We're going to go to Edit, and this will let us edit our Compose.yaml file over here. First thing we can do, we no longer need this server password here because we're going to manage that in the INI files. We'll put a pound in front of that, and then down here, before the networks, we want to add another service. So we have the version of the YAML file. We have the service, and current service we have is life has been, and each of these are properties under life has been. This is stretched out a little bit, but this is just a continuation from the previous line. So down here, let's add in a couple lines. All right, well, and I'm just going to paste in a configuration that I've already set up for services, and I'll put these in the show notes also. So right here, what we're going to add is CodeServer. This is a MS Code variant or port that runs in Docker. This all runs in the browser. We're going to again use the same PUID, PGID as we do for our server. That way it can access the same files and it can manage those. That way we don't end up with file permission issues with the Arc server. Again, we set the time zone to I'm in America, Chicago time. We have a password to access this. I'm going to change this later, so don't try to hack me. But we have and then we set the default workspace. This is telling us where inside the container we want to run to start off with. So config workspace ASA. Here we're going to set the volumes. So this will create a local folder in the same directory. So up here we have the server, logs, backup. This is going to be in the same folder as that game. We're going to call it CodeServer, and that's just going to get mounted to the internal config file of this CodeServer image. And then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to say the current folder. Just period means the root of this folder, and we're going to mount that to config workspace ASA, which, as you may notice, is the same as up here. So we're saying our default workspace is going to be the root of our folder on Linux. That's not the Linux root, that's the root of our working directory for this Docker stack. We're going to use port 8443. That shouldn't have any conflicts. If you have your special setup, you might need to move those, but for our uses, this should work. Alright, so we pasted in this YAML, we've got everything updated, we've got our password changed to something secure. Now what we want to do is come up here and deploy. What this will do, if this is the first time you're running it, this will pull down the new CodeServer. I believe this is probably going to be updating our Arc server also, if it needs to be. Oh, it's recreating because we commented out the password. So we'll give that a minute to run. This is going to run through and do some updates, but we can actually ignore that for right now, because all we really care about for this currently is this CodeServer. So 8443, we're going to right click and copy that. Now a little trick in Chrome and in Edge, most browsers, is up here where it says not secure. It might actually look like a padlock, but where it says not secure, you can click on that and you can drag it up here to the top. You can see the little white arrow. If you let go, that's going to basically copy that page. So we can take out the 5001 and paste in our 8443. Okay, now the first thing we should see is this password. It's asking for the password. That's the password we set right here. So I'm going to copy that. Come back over here and paste it in. And we'll say submit. Now, if you remember this Compose.yaml, we told that to start off in config, workspaces, ASA. And if we look over here, that's where it's starting us out over here. We do want to trust the author and the parent, author of the parent folder, that's us. And here's our files. Now if you look in here, you can see our Game.ini. Again, I've made some changes since then. I can add these to the show notes also, the changes that I've made. Again, just some quality of life changes, better, faster leveling, because I don't have a lot of time to play. I just want to get down to the game. And then we have the GameUserSettings.ini. Here's where we can update the game user settings. The config files here. Again, I can put some of the key settings in the show notes over on lifeasbeen.com. But for the most part, I just add a couple of things just for quality of life. A lot of these I don't even know what to do, right? Like high quality materials, high quality services. I think all that is just default settings, but I'll put the whole thing in there anyway, just so you have it. But this is just a real easy way to manage our ini files. Now, if we do make a change in here, so say we change allow custom recipes to false. We can hit Control S to save, and then back here we'll need to then restart the container so that our Arc server can pick it up. So we'll go ahead and restart that real quick. Give it a few minutes. All right, now it's starting up. Now the other issue is that it then restarts our CodeServer also, which is fine. It'll reload without any issues. One more thing we can do here though, since we mounted that to the root of the folder, we can come in here and get to all of our backups. And we can just right click on any of these and say download. And that's a real easy way to save our backups offline. If we really want to, we could even come in here to servers, give that a moment to load, go into shooter games, into saves. We can also come in here to saved arcs, and this is where the Arc server is going to do all this saves. When it does its hourly or 2 hour saves of the server. So it's a real easy way to get in here and even back those up if you wanted. Alright, so that is a pretty quick rundown of CodeServer. It's a real easy way to then manage the ini files without dropping into the command line. And I can show you real quick. Here is I've SSH back into the server. If I list the folders, we then have this CodeServer. That's the folder that we created in the Compose.yaml file. We do have the Game.ini and the GameUserSettings.ini. We could even say nano game.ini and get to everything here. But again, it's really a lot easier to use this GUI and manage the settings we want. Alright, but that should cover it for today. Be sure to check back later. I'd like to go over how to find the mods and add them to the server. I'd like to set up a automatic copy, an automatic backup for these download for these backups, so we can get into that also, and we can just make this really build out a well-managed server with this too. All right, we'll talk to you later.